Y'all give it up one more time for the host and all the comedians tonight. Well, I'm excited to be here. I think I'm more excited to know R. Kelly and Diddy find out they was going to be soulmates. Hey, and I'm going to sit down on the job because that's what black people do. I just got back from New York last night. I did a show at Rodney Dangerfield Comedy Club. That was a dream come true because he always been one of my favorite comedians, him and Richard Pryor. After the show, we went to this fancy restaurant to celebrate our 10th year anniversary. They had our table decorated extremely nice. Y'all should have seen it. They had music, candlelight, flowers, and Timberlands that said happy anniversary on them. But we noticed this older couple kept staring at us. They looked like they could have been in their 80s, I guess. Later on, they came over and introduced themselves to us. They told us that they were celebrating their 65th anniversary. Ooh. Yeah, we said, wow, that's amazing. Congratulations. They said, thank you. But you two, y'all remind us so much of ourselves when we was your age, and y'all make a beautiful couple. We said, thank you. Try to tell that to our spouses. Speaking of spouses, after 36 years of marriage, I'm finally starting to rub off on mine. Get your mind out the gut. I ain't saying I start to rub one out on it. It's a difference. The reason I say that is because my wife is a very serious person. She don't normally joke around like I do. But the other day I was trying to fabricate a piece of material to go inside of my suit coat pocket. And I told my wife, I said, I need to find something black and hard to go behind this piece of material. She said, good luck with that. I've been trying to find something black and hard for 36 years. Then she said, y'all say that out loud? Do anybody have Alexa in their house? Y'all use Alexa? Yeah. Oh yeah, I had to get rid of Alexa, man. She was turning into a female chauvinist. One day my wife and I came home from walking, and my wife said, Alexa, I'm home. She said, I'm glad you're home. I miss you. So I gave it a try. I said, Alexa, the man of the house is home. You know what Alexa told me? Sorry, I don't know him. My wife put her 2 cents in. She said, neither do I. So recently I went to visit my 95-year-old grandmother. I haven't seen her in 4 years. And when I got to her house, she had a sign on her door that said, watch your step. But I didn't pay no attention. So when she opened the door, I flew up those steps, gave her a big hug. I squeezed her so tight. She said, get off me, get off me. So I backed up. I said, I'm sorry, Grandma, did I squeeze you too tight? She said, no, you idiot, you were stepping on my nipples. Did you read the sign?
Watch your step.
I guess gravity is for real, huh? So my niece came over to the house the other day, unannounced. She just popped up. And my wife and I, we was at home chilling, watching Netflix. My wife still on her pajamas. I had on old t-shirts, some gym shorts, and a pair of Harley Davidson sneakers I purchased online off of Temu. Y'all know that's the cheap stuff come from China, right? Evidently, the sneakers I had on look like the ones that Kanye West came out with called Yeezys. Have y'all heard of those? Mm-hmm. They're expensive, aren't they? Mm-hmm. See, I didn't know that until my niece actually said, Uncle Hurley, but those Yeezys you're wearing, she was serious too. I said, well, it just depends on how much they cost. She said, they're only $600. I said, $600? Hell no, these aren't Yeezys. These are Negro Pleasers for $59.99. So my cousin, she upset with me. She got upset with me because all of us was getting ready to go out to dinner. It was me, my wife, my cousin, and her fiance. And my cousin was in her room getting dressed. All of a sudden, I heard her yell out, yo, cuz, can you come here for a minute? So I went to her room. I said, what's up? She said, I need for you to be honest with me, okay? I said, come on now. That's the only way I know how to be. Integrity is my middle name. I live by that. She said, okay. Then she asked me that famous female question. Y'all know the one that all females ask men? Oh, yeah. She said, does this dress make me look big? I said, no, not at all. As a matter of fact, you make it look small. I haven't seen or heard from her since. So I can't believe O.J. Simpson died. You know, I ran into him in Florida one time. He's working at SWAT and he's selling knives. I bought a knife from him. He pulled me to the side. He said, look at here, young bro. That one don't do the trick. I know this one will. He handed me another knife. He said, that's my personal knife right there. And it comes with the glove. He said, I had 2 gloves, I lost one of them. I haven't seen that glove since 1995. He said, now that I think Johnny Cochran must have hit that glove. So growing up in the ghetto was rough. I'm from East St. Louis, Illinois, so I grew up fast. And I went to all black school. That's different from going to integrated school, because in all black school, you have to be ready to fight every day. And I went to school with some pretty big dudes. Most of them had facial hair already. And this was in grade school. But this thing's around here that y'all take for granted. For instance, when y'all go to the bathroom, y'all have real signs on y'all doors, don't you? See, we didn't have that. Somebody wrote ours in with a permanent marker. They misspelled words and stuff. You ain't know which door to go in. I remember one time when I was in the 5th grade, I ended up going in the mop closet. There was 2 dudes in there shooting dice. One dude said, he said, close the door, you little nappy-headed thug, before you get us busted. You get us busted, I'm gonna kick your butt. And that was the principal. I guess he was leading by example, right? But see, y'all don't have those kind of problems, because y'all signs clearly say men, women, and others, or guys, gals, and others. Not ours. I said pimps, hoes, and tricks. They spelled the word hoes wrong. They spelled HOSC. You go through that door, you're going to get sprayed down with a water hose. So, the world is so jacked up now, right? It's so bad now, I came to the conclusion that you can't help people anymore. I tried to help this older lady, and she got me fired from my job at the beauty shop. I had been working there for 5 years. And what makes it so bad, I got fired on my lunch break. How the hell you get fired on your lunch break? She came in one day, and everybody else was going to lunch. I was sitting down, eating my little sandwich, minding my own business. She said, excuse me, sir, can you give me a perm? She said, my daughter was in a car accident last week, and I have to go to her funeral today, and I want to look my best. So I did like anybody else. You know, I feel sorry for her. I said, yeah, I give you a perm. I set her down, permed up. You know how some old ladies have hair growing from their chin? Huh? Well, she had a lot of fuzz down there. And I said, you know what? Today's your lucky day. If you like, ma'am, I can tighten that Fu Manchu up for you. Oh, she got pissed. She said, how dare you ask me something like that? I want to speak to your manager. I said, ma'am, I'm the only one here. I said, they should be back shortly. She said, I demand to speak to your manager now. Then my manager walked in, right? She said, what seems to be the problem here? She said, are you the manager? She said, I sure am. I've been a manager here for 10 years. How may I help you? She said, well, what kind of business are you running here? I asked him to give me a permit. He had the audacity to ask me if I wanted my Fu Manchu for him to tighten up my Fu Manchu. She said, well, first of all, ma'am, he's not a beautician. He's the custodian. So when I was a drill sergeant, I used to love playing tricks on the new recruits, right? I remember one time we was at the gun range and we just got to qualifying the soldiers with their weapons, and we was waiting on transportation to come pick us up and take us back to the barracks. But they called and told us they were running about 45 minutes late because one of the vehicles broke down. I said, okay, no problem. I just passed time by messing with the soldiers. So I told the pilot, I said, Private, I got bad news. We missing 50 rounds of ammunition, and if we don't find it, I have to call the MP so they can lock down the base. They're not going to let anybody on or off the base. Then we have to do a cavity search on each one of them. You see this building behind me? We're going to take you there one at a time. We're going to have you strip stark naked. You're going to bend over, spread your butt cheeks apart, and we're going to run the hands between your butt cheeks like a credit card. But before we go through all that, I'll give you 10 minutes to find the ammo. Time starts now. Go. Probably take up the Kevlar, shaking them out. They're checking the pocket on the uniform like they're looking for a cigarette or some change. I said, Private, 5 minutes has elapsed. You have 5 minutes remaining. Now the private starting to get antsy, right? And you can hear them talking. You hear them say, if y'all got any ammo, turn it in. Y'all always doing stupid stuff. They do a cavity search and we don't kick y'all butt. I said, Private, time's up. I said, look, hate to see y'all getting in any trouble, but we catch y'all with any ammo on you after today, we gonna lock you up in confinement for 5 years. Then we're gonna kick you out the army with dishonorable discharge. That's a felony. You won't be able to get a job anywhere. So I'm gonna give you one last opportunity. Take 2 steps forward and turn the ammo over with no repercussion. This black private from Mississippi took 2 steps forward. I said, good. Somebody with some integrity around here. I said, Private Williams, do you have any ammo to turn in? He said, no, drill sergeant. I said, why the hell you get out of my formation? He said, because I want to go first, drill sergeant. I said, why do you want to go first, Private Williams? He said, and I quote, he said, Because y'all gonna stick y'all hands up all they booties. I don't want y'all sticking y'all hands up mine. I said, wrong answer. Get your behind back in formation. We go in alphabetical order. You understand me, Private Williams?
You're gonna be last.
So when I was 10 years old, I was a bad little kid. I was so bad my parents had to homeschool me. But once a week they would send me to this private school. I didn't like it too much though because the teacher was mean as a drill sergeant. I remember the first day of school, the teacher told me, he said, Hurley King, I want you to come in, sit your narrow behind down, shut up and open your book. I was terrified. I said, who is this teacher? And what kind of school is this? Well, come to find out years later, I was going to Sunday school. There was the deacon up there talking crazy. So, my wife and I, we're about to celebrate our 37th anniversary.
Woo.
Thank you, I appreciate that. People ask me all the time, they say, what's the secret to staying married for so long? Well, there's a couple things that you and your spouse have to do in order to have a successful relationship. The first thing you have to do, you have to work as a team. Because when you work as a team, you accomplish a lot of goals together. The second and the most important thing you have to do, you have to give each other space. Because without, and you know, give each other that me time, because everybody needs that me time, right? And without that me time, y'all probably get on each other's nerves and want to choke the shit out of each other. You're like, get out till you get in there and wash those dishes and put those clothes away. And that's my wife doing me like that. But now, see, my me time watching sports, and my wife doesn't bother me. Her me time watching her church services. But you better not interrupt her while she's doing it. And you sure enough better not talk while she's doing it. She act a black fool. Y'all know who Karen is, don't you? Well, I got the black version of Karen. I nicknamed her Karen Nisha. I remember one time I was going to the kitchen to get something to eat, and she was watching Joel Osteen. He said something that got my attention. He said, if you want to prosper in life, and I do, just like everybody else, he said, remember these 3 things and repeat them to yourself 2 to 3 times a day out loud. I said, ooh-wee. I don't know about that out loud part because Karen Nisha was going to act a black fool. But I went on and did because Joel told me to, and I've been prosperous ever since. So if y'all want to prosper in life, I need for y'all to repeat after me. I am full of God.
I am full of God.
I am full of love.
I am full of love.
I am full of joy.
I am full of joy.
So I said it again, but this time with a little more enthusiasm. I said, I am full of God.
I am full of God.
I am full of love.
I am full of love.
Well, I can say that third word. My wife jumped up off the couch, turned into Karen, and she said, you are full of it. So since I retired from the military, I noticed they changed their rules and regulations. Because now I'm starting to see a lot of overweight soldiers and soldiers wearing beards and goatees. When I was in the military, we couldn't wear beards and goatees, but now everybody's wearing them. I ran into a first one the other day that had a nice goatee. He had the handlebar mustache, the curl up on the end and everything. I asked him, I said, how you get your goatee to look like that? She said. So a really good friend of mine from Compton, California came to visit me last month. Real cool white dude. He's so cool, black people gave him a nickname. We nicknamed him Al, short for albino. He reminded me of that comedian Gary Owens because he loves sister girls. That's all he talked about. When he came to visit, we hung out at the mall, and I tried to talk to every sister he's seen. He wanted to go to Foot Locker to try to find a pair of Air Force Ones to match with the Brian James jersey. So we went to Foot Locker, and this beautiful sister named Felicia was working there. She was drop dead gorgeous, boy. Al jumped right on her. He had her smiling and giggling and everything. For a minute, I thought he was going to get lucky. And all of a sudden, Felicia dropped a bombshell on him. She said, I can't date you. He said, why not? She said, because I'm looking for a man with 9 inches of rock hard pleasure between his legs. And I'm not going to settle for anything else. I know exactly what I need. Al said, 9 inches, huh? She said, yep, 9 inches and nothing less. Al looked her up and down and said, Felicia, you fine as hell. But I'm not cutting 2 inches off for nobody. Felicia said, wait, what? Al said, bye, Felicia. Hey, that's my time, y'all. My name is Hurley King. I'm a soldier of comedy.